Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and today we are going to be reviewing Dragon Ball GT Final Bout for PlayStation 1.
Yes, the first Dragon Ball game released in North America. Does this game live up to the proud franchise that finally graced our shores?
Jim,
We'll find out.
who do we have to thank again for this interesting game, I'll call it?
Well, Brian, that is our good buddy Travis, aka the Hibiki TMD. This was his Patreon game request review.
I thought you loved this, Trav. I'm getting mixed signals with this game.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Isn't it nice to be back, Jim?
Wonderful. Originally released in 1997, this was developed and published by Bandai. It later got a re-release in Japan in 2000, Europe in 2002, and North America in 2004 because at that point, Dragon Ball was huge. What wasn't huge was Dragon Ball GT, so it's very weird that this was the first game that they brought over to North America when Z was the franchise that was going at the time. So, yeah.
I don't like it.
Right, do you not like the changes to the cover art in the reprint or the game?
I don't like it.
Yeah, let's just get into it.
I don't like it.
Damn it.
The graphics. I gotta say, as someone who did not grow up knowing anything about Dragon Ball Z or anything in the franchise, this was my first game I've ever played. And I think the graphics are pretty impressive, especially considering when this came out and what it must have felt like for fans at the time. All the models are really well done, and you have 17 characters. Now, a bunch of them are basically variations of the characters, but they have all the major names there. But the real kicker that even got me in the mood to play this game is that opening. Jim and I have said it many times.
It's so cool!
It really is. Openings to games, when they get you in the mood for a game, it just is more memorable. Unfortunately, it led to the game that we played. We'll get a little bit more into that. But the graphics really, the biggest knock on it, and this is very common for PS1 games and especially early 3D fighters, the backgrounds, they are a bit bland. There's nothing special there. And the choppiness in the game. Now this is really due to the fact that you're able to fly, you can hover, but moving in between those realms, it's like very stuttery. When you move too fast forward, like when you dash, the camera just can't keep up with it, and it doesn't translate very well. For people playing this today, they'll think it looks like garbage, but when we play these games, we try to put ourselves in the mind of someone who was playing it back in the day, and I think most people would appreciate it how it looked. So, when it comes to scores, I gave it a 7, Jim gave it a 6. I think we both felt it was above average, definitely not perfect, so when it comes to beer, I'm going to add 1 just for that choppiness. The sound. Now, I gotta say, this game is as average as it gets, right off the bat. There are music tracks for everything, and they sound, not to copy Jim's language, it's fine. It gets the job done. I hate that I just had to say that, but I don't really know what else to say.
Welcome to Oz, bitch.
I mean, there was nothing really unique, and the fact that I am not invested in this universe, I don't even know if these are songs from the actual series or anything. So I had no connection to them except like, oh, okay, these sound okay. That opening, once again, had the best music of the whole game. And I did like all the little voice acting in it. Although, as I talked to Jim, my understanding is it's not the actual original cast, so I could see how that might bother some people.
Yeah, I've watched the Ocean dub, I've watched the Funimation dubs, I've even seen bits of the Big Green dub, and yeah, this is a completely unique voice cast, and it's jarring, I'll say that. It's not per se terrible for the most part, it's just really weird for a longtime fan to hear.
Yeah, so that had no effect on me. To me, it was like, okay, whatever, cheesy voiceovers, but they had it in there. And most PlayStation quality things aren't too bad. I gave it a 5. I mean, it's as middle of the road for me as possible. Jim gave it a 4. Obviously, him being a fan, his opinion of the sound is going to be affected a little more. When it comes to beer, now that I know they didn't actually use that cast or the actual songs, I'm going to add 2 beers because that seems pretty minimal. You already have the rights to the whole franchise. You really couldn't go that extra mile and get everything appropriate.
But, Bright, they also have some songs by Hironobu Kageyama that he made for this game. He made the songs for the show.
Oh, yeah, him.
Yeah. Weeps shit.
Damn it.
Oh, the control. This game is so rough around the edges with the control. I will say the button layout on the controller is pretty good. You have your punch button, your kick button, your guard button, your beam button, and then everything kind of plays off that depending on the direction that you're going in, whether or not you're flying, using the direction buttons to fly, using the shoulder buttons to dash, and there's also the meteor combos, which I'll get into, which you can do if you're at a certain distance, and then you time it with the right direction with the right shoulder button. It's both weirdly complicated and simple at the same time, but overall, it just never feels like it works. There's a bit of a lag to everything. Moves you try to do will happen maybe half the time if you're lucky. Deflections and reversals almost never work. It's just such a weirdly bad and it just doesn't work. Brian gave it a 2 and I gave it a 3. The only reason I gave it a 3 is because the signature attacks of all the characters are relatively easy to pull off, so being a fan of the series, it's cool that you can somewhat easily just do a ton of Kamehamehas and special beam cannons and all the other moves. So it's cool to see that as a fan, but outside of that, this control is just terrible. And when it comes to beer, I'm going to give it another 2 beers. One for just how badly it controls in general, and 1 happy beer for just being able to pull off the special moves.
Hey Jim, this game can eat my Dragon Balls. My ball sack. Get it? It's a joke.
Thank you, Brian.
You don't get highbrow humor.
It's good to be back. The gameplay! Oh, what a delight! So when you play a one-on-one fighting game, what you want is smooth control and smooth gameplay, and you do not get that here. So let me break down how these fights go for you. You do simple punches and kicks, you throw the occasional energy beam at a guy, you run away, and you power back up. And then you try to do a special attack, which the enemy character might dodge, they might get hit by, or they might reverse back at you. If they reverse it back at you, you have a minute fraction of a window to either reverse it back, or you're going to take your own hit damage, which does happen a lot. Then you run away, simple punches and kicks, until you realize you can just kind of spam the more simple moves, build up to some bigger attacks, and kind of rinse and repeat. The game also has this weird thing where not only is there a huge difficulty spike between one fight to another, it really doesn't matter where along in the story you are with the characters. One fight could take you like 10 tries to win, and then the next fight could take you no effort. It all depends almost on the matchup, because some characters being tall can hit certain hitboxes better than others, certain moves can hit hitboxes better than others. The difficulty and just the gameplay is all over the map in this game. There's no balancing to be found. This game also decided to introduce these meteor attacks, which are these super combos that you can just keep building and building if you hit the right buttons. The problem is, the computer can do it all the time, and you will be lucky to get it off once, if ever, because of the terrible input lag and control in the game in general. There's 3 game modes in the game: Battle Mode, Tournament Mode, and Build-Up Mode. So, Battle Mode, that's your basic story mode, if you want to call it that. It's one-on-one, you pick a character, you go against a computer. If you lose, you can always just pick a different character and go through with infinite continues until you win the game. It's okay. It's a way to get through everything, and it's a way to unlock all the different variations of characters in the game, so that's always cool. And there are a ton of characters to unlock. Then there's Tournament Mode, which is, once again, it's a round-robin tournament. Most fighting games have it. Nothing special here, but you can do it 1 or 2 players. It's okay. It's fun to do like once, and then it's boring. But you can also use your build-up characters that you've also used, which leads us to Build-Up Mode. And this is kind of the training mode of the game, where you can pick a character and go through fight after fight after fight, like dozens upon dozens of fights of increasing difficulty, and you start off super weak. Every time you fight, you get points whether or not you win or lose. Obviously, if you win, you get more experience points. But here's one thing about this game. The build-up mode is the only way you ever get any use out of your memory card. So let's say you beat the game, you play through it, and you unlock every single character. And then you turn off the game, and you turn it back on, and guess what? It completely resets because there's no in-game save for all of them. Oh my god, who the hell designed that? Even worse, there's a super secret special character that you can beat if you beat the game on hard without having to use a continue, which is nigh impossible as is. Thank God there's a code for it so you can play as Super Saiyan 4 Goku, because that's the only way you would ever see it. So for the super choppy design, for the super choppy gameplay, for the just unfair difficulty spikes, and for the fact that you can't even really save all the special characters that you unlock, God forbid you ever turn off the game, there's just so much wrong with this that we had to give it 3s. The only redeeming factors that we gave it are the fact that it's unique for the time that it came out on the PlayStation as a more aerial-based fighter, and yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, I guess you can bring your memory card to a buddy's place to fight his build-up character, but who the hell would have done that in 1997? And when it comes to beers, I'm going to give it 3 beers. 1, for the awful choppiness. 2, for the completely unfair spikes in this game's difficulty. And 3, for not saving any progress. Ugh.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Jim.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Damn it.
The Originality. Well, I'm going to be honest, this isn't even close to being one of the first Dragon Ball games. But if we're trying to find a place to give this game points, it is the first 3D Dragon Ball game. So we saw that and we said, okay, it gets some points there. And outside of that, it doesn't offer anything you haven't seen in other fighting games. There's no unique modes, there's no unique, really anything out that we haven't already seen done before. What is interesting is, for the time, any 3D fighting games really didn't have that ability to do the hover or flying in the air. So we kind of felt that might have earned it another point or two. But at the end of the day, this is pretty bare bones when it comes to originality. So I ended up giving this a 3, and Jim gave it a 4. There's not a lot here. When it comes to beer, I'm not even going to give it 1 because they were just kind of staying true to what you already knew about Dragon Ball games, and the fact that they made it 3D, some game had to take that leap, and unfortunately it was this one.
The replayability. So I already kind of went over this in gameplay, but the main replayability comes from the fact that if, for whatever reason, you are a fan of this game, you're going to want to have to replay every single time to unlock all the different characters every single time. So, for the simple fact alone that you have no cartridge saves of your characters in progress outside of your build-a-character, build-up guy, whatever, then, yeah, you're going to have to keep replaying this all the time. And there's like 1 or 2 different endings, but it's seriously like the difference of maybe 1 line of dialogue at the very end. It's like nothing. So, yeah, for the worst reasons of all time, Brian gave this a 6 and I gave it a 7. What can I say? If you want to get the most out of it, you're going to have to play through it every single time. And when it comes to beer, I'm going to add 3 more beers for, once again, the fact that it doesn't save what you unlock.
I still don't like it.
Yeah, me neither. That's why I'm drinking. Heavily.
So as you can see, this game, I don't know if awful is the right word. It's just terribly executed. It may have looked pretty decent and the sound was okay, but outside of that, there's really nothing Jim and I could say positive about the game.
It's just a game of so many weird choices. Like, for one, doing the Dragon Ball GT game when Z was the one that was even just getting started popular at the time. The voice actors being used with how unique that is. The new random songs, but yeah, and just the awful control and gameplay. It's just such an oddity. And the fact that they felt the need to re-release it just to milk the Dragon Ball franchise too, so... Ugh.
Yeah, this is a game that I felt like tried to do way more than the PlayStation was capable, or that more capable than they were able to actually program for. Either way, Jim and I, we both gave it 3s, and when we round out all of our scores, it comes to a 3.6. I would love to say there were other redeeming qualities, and unless you are maybe the most diehard Dragon Ball Z fan and you need everything in that universe, stay away from this one. I don't even know what a good price point would be to get this, to be honest.
Yeah, take it from me. I'm a Dragon Ball fan. Only get this as an oddity. Like, there's no redeeming gameplay factor about it. And the original version's like $60 and up if you want to try and get that. Or just get the re-release. You can get it for like 20-ish. So do what I did. Get the re-release.
And Travis, when we see you, we are going to buy you some really bad beer for giving us this game. But once again, thank you for supporting us, bud.
Yep.
And for everyone watching, thank you and cheers.
Cheers, guys.
When it comes to beer pairing, I'm going to go with the Asahi Super Dry from the Asahi Breweries. This is the most popular beer in Japan, and it's counted as their most popular craft beer. Obviously, this is a huge company that took what is a typical lager style and made it dry, getting rid of some of the excess sugars. Much like this game, it took the idea of something really fun, took out all the sweetness, and you're left with just a bare bones bottle. So, these two will go very well together. It only has 5% alcohol, goes down really smooth, and I guess if you really want to have an interesting night, get yourself a case of these and sit back and try this game. But remember to drink your beers and play your games responsibly. As always, guys, thanks for checking out this video, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you give us a thumbs up, leave some comments, or better yet, why not subscribe? Till next time, guys, cheers.